Dead by Daylight is cooking, but not in the way you might expect. Or maybe they do. Let's find out. My name is LuckyJux. I'm a content creator for DBD for around 3 years now, and today I want to talk about the patch 9.2, the pros and cons, and the after effects of postponing all of that into the next PTB, as they are live right now and decided to postpone that into the next one. So before we talk about the anti-slug, anti-tunneling in specific, maybe let's talk quickly about why these mechanics were postponed into the next PTB and not going live with patch 9.2 in the first place. As you know, PTB 9.2 included all these mechanics I just mentioned and were about to be tested. Content creators and everyone with access to the PTB were able to test it, and just after a few days, more specifically on the 5th, we received following message from Dead by Daylight in form of a X tweet. Before we break for the weekend, we want to update folks on the ongoing PTB discussion, which we have been following very closely since the last week's dev update. We have heard you clearly that the current implementation of the tunneling reduction and slugging reduction systems players have been testing this week feels too punishing for killers. For the release of Sinister Grace, which is by the way the next chapter for the upcoming killer Krasu, we will hold back those features in brackets and their associated perk changes to iterate on some adjustments based on your feedback. We will test these features again in the upcoming PTB and will release them live when we believe they are ready. Thank you for your participation in our crucial testing process and stay tuned for future updates as they progress. So, coming back to the specifics of these changes, let's talk about them. First off, we have the slugging mechanic. Slugging mechanic brings you two new base kits, which is Unbreakable and Tenacity. In order to unlock the base kit Unbreakable, you have a new bar under the recovery bar, which is the Resolve bar, which fills over the course of 90 seconds. After this time, you do get Unbreakable base kit and pick yourself up as long as you're not bleeding out in the dying state. What also comes along with that is that you have base kit Tenacity filling up over the course of these 90 seconds. So at the end of the 90 seconds, you will have the full benefit of Tenacity as well. Initially, I was very happy with these changes, but watching a few PTB streams, content on social media, talking to friends and to chat during my live streams, I think it needs to be slightly adjusted. To make this anti-slugging mechanic fully rewarding for survivors and still doable for the killers, you can either increase the time until you pick yourself up with base kit Unbreakable from 90 to 120 seconds, or you can remove Tenacity, as this is not necessarily needed in order to prevent slugging. Having base kit Unbreakable is here more than enough. If we would make this tweak, I think the anti-slug mechanic at least can go live as it is. Now the second part of preventing killers from tunneling and slugging is tunneling.
No shit.
With tunneling, there are a few other effects which we have to talk about quickly, so here's the ramp down. With the tunneling reduction update, we have 10% haste, endurance status effect, which we already have, but getting a buff by 20 seconds, making it a total of 30. Additionally to that, we have elusive as a new status effect, which hides grunts of pain, aura, scratch marks, and pools of blood. This equals 3 perks, which are Iron Will, Babysitter, and Distortion, including the buff from borrowed time from 10 to 30 seconds. This is from the survivor perspective and is already a lot. On the killer side, we have also something new called Unique Hook Bonuses, which essentially gives you following base kits, Pop Goes Weasel, Furtive Chase, without the undetectable effect, and Barbecue and Chili. All of this you receive as soon as you hook someone who was not hooked before. Means you have Survivor 1, hooked. Survivor 2, hooked. If you hook Survivor 2 again, you don't get this bonus. Simply as that. These effects have a different set of bonuses for the Blight, the Dark Lord, the Ghoul, Hillbilly, Krasu, and Nurse. Instead of 20%, they get 10% kick damage. Instead of 10% for 15 seconds, they get 5% haste for 10 seconds, but the aura reveal seems to be the same. Lastly, we have to talk about the penalties, because they are also part of a new mechanic to reduce tunneling, which is 1, the Gen Repair bonus which survivor get if a survivor sacrificed or moried before the survivor has 6 hook states. Lastly, we have to talk about the penalties, because they are very important as well and coming along with the anti-tunnel mechanics. First one is the Gen Repair bonus every survivor receives if someone is sacrificed before the killer has 6 total hook states. That simply means if you hook someone and sacrifice him before you have a total of 6 hook states, every survivor gets a 25% bonus on repairing gens, which is a lot. For the second part of the penalties, this takes place whenever you sacrifice someone who was previously hooked already, because in this case, you can now no longer kick, regress, or block a gens. Might it be free actions or perks. For the rest of the trial, you can do neither of them, and you have to only focus on chasing them down while the survivor has some kind of ease and can just progress with gens as efficiently as they can for the rest of the trial. Also here I'm saying this is kind of a lot. I'm not sure yet how to adjust that. When it comes for the 25% repair gen speed bonus, I do believe that there's a way to adjust that further. Let's say instead of 25%, you get 50% to compensate for the 4th person. But on the other hand, this is not happening when you hook someone or sacrifice someone after your 5th hook. So after we covered the baseline of information, let's talk about it. In my opinion, and if you think I'm wrong with that, let me know, because as everyone else, I'm just a human and I can make mistakes as well. But in my opinion, we definitely need these mechanics as soon as possible. And the reason for that is simply the experience which me and probably most other survivors share is being tunneled or slugged at the beginning of the game. As soon as one person is out, the game becomes exponentially more difficult. And if you're at 4 or 5 gens, or even let's say 3 gens, doing this game with 3 people is almost impossible unless you have a god looper next to you or you have a gen build for it. It is almost certain that this will result ultimately in a 4K. And I know what people will say, that there are perks to prevent that. I understand, I agree. But what's the use of having hundreds of perks when you always have to take the same 4 for the same strategy to counter tunneling and slugging? The freedom of Dead by Daylight is that you can play as you wish with your 4 perks and your item attached to it. But due to tunneling and slugging, this all gets kind of countered. And I'm not an enemy of tunneling and slugging. Sometimes it is necessary to turn an endgame to your favor, and I agree, it's a good thing. Just not at the beginning of the match. So in the end, I am waiting for these mechanics, I hope for them, and I'm pretty sure that this will revive the survivor community plenty when they see that behavior took measurements against tunneling and slugging. And I know there will be killers who will condemn these changes for a long time. There will be a decline of killers, absolutely. But I believe that this will reinstate the balance between survivors and killers and the mood to play this game all together. And this is what keeps DBD in the end alive. If you agree with me, I would much appreciate a like. If you want to see more content like this, leave a sub, and I appreciate you being here, and see you next time.